I have 6 o'clock, and I'd like to call the March 2nd, 2026 Person County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Before I begin with the meeting, I would like to check that the audience downstairs in our overflow room can hear the meeting.
Let me confirm.
Thank you.
Can y'all hear the meeting? All right. There's a delay in the YouTube feed, so. I'm just gonna say on the phone with you to confirm.
And ladies and gentlemen, normally when we have an audience of this size, we try to accommodate the audience by having these meetings in the auditorium. Unfortunately, the auditorium is being occupied with voting equipment for tomorrow's primary. So this was the best option that we could come up with on this short of a notice. So we do appreciate everyone being here. We appreciate everyone being patient with us, and we're grateful that you are here. Thank you again. All right. So the audience downstairs can hear us. At this time, Commissioner Thomas, will you lead us in our invocation?
Let's pray. Our most kind and dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight thanking you for the opportunity to come together in a free country, God. Lord, tonight we want to ask you to be with all of our soldiers that are overseas that are watching over us and that are taking care of us and keeping us all safe from the evil, God. God, evil is everywhere, and we thank you for being a loving God that watches over us and take care of us. Lord, we want to thank you for watching over our first responders that answer the call in the middle of the night, God. We ask you just to be with each and every one of them. God, just lay your hand upon them when the call comes, that they will know exactly what to do, and you just work through them. God, we thank you for giving your Son to die on the cross so we may have eternal life. And we ask you just to go with us, lead us, guide us, keep us all safe. In your heavenly name I do pray. Amen.
Vice Chair Wilburn, will you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Please rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the board, is there any discussion, adjustment, or adjustment to the agenda? Having a hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda's been approved. At this time, the chair of the board recognizes that there is a vacancy in the position of the Registrar of Deeds. Members of the board, I received a nomination from the Person County Democrat Party with a nomination of Lauren Horick to fulfill the remaining term of the Registrar of Deeds. What is the desire of the board?
To approve Lauren Horick as the Register of Deeds.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any further discussion? Having hearing none, all in favor to appoint Lauren Horick as the Registrar of Deeds, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Is Mrs. Horick present? Thank you, ma'am. And at this time, we ask the Clerk of Court, Debbie Barker, to come in and swear you in to your position.
Do you, Lauren Horick, solemnly and sincerely swear that you will support the Constitution and laws of the United States that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and the laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, and that you will faithfully and truly, or according to the best of your skill and ability, execute the duties of the Register of Deeds for the County of Person in all things according to law, so help you God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Madam Treasurer of Deeds.
Sign some stuff for us. Several copies. Wait. Oh, you've got to do Karen next. Okay. Ms. Clayton. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right. Do you, Carrie Clayton, solemnly and sincerely swear that you will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States, that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and the laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, and that you will faithfully and truly, according to the best of your skill and ability, execute the duties of the office of Deputy Register of Deeds for the County of Person in all things according to law, so help you God. Congratulations, Ms. Clayton. I need you to execute that right there.
Thank you.
Ms. Patterson. Do you, Jennifer Patterson, solemnly and sincerely swear that you will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States, and that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and the laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, and that you will faithfully and truly, according to the best of your skill and ability, execute the duties of the office of Deputy Register of Deeds for the County of Person in all things according to law, so help you God. Congratulations. Thanks, Jennifer.
Madam Register?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Puryear. Thank you, Commissioners, and to the county as well. On behalf of the Register of Deeds staff and office, I would like to say thank you for the outpouring of support in passing of Tanya Wilson, and that we will endeavor to uphold her legacy of compassion, integrity, and being the real historical recorder of the documents of Person County, the important documents that document every life in our county now and going forward. Thank you for the vote of confidence to the Person County Democrats. Thank you for this position, and we will see you in the office.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, informal comments. Madam Clerk, how many individuals do we have signed up to speak?
Chairman, we have 3 individuals.
Given that this is normally a 10-minute segment and we have a shorter commissioner meeting than average, I would entertain 7 minutes per speaker.
Yes, sir.
And would remind the speakers to address the board as a whole, not individuals. There will be no dialogue between the Board of Commissioners or the individuals. This is a listening session for the commissioners, and we're very glad again to have everyone in attendance here. Madam Clerk, can you call up the first speaker?
Yes, sir. The first speaker is Dan Phillips. Dr. Phillips.
And I just had a request from downstairs to remind everyone to utilize the microphone so that everybody can hear on the stream downstairs.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's good seeing you all again. For those I haven't met, I'm Dan Phillips. I'm representing a small group from Mayo Lake. Last summer, hearings were held by the Wildlife Commission in Raleigh on April 5th, 6th, and 7th, or correction, 5th, 7th, and 13th. And from those hearings, a new administrative rule was added stating placement of docks, piers, and personal property for more than 24 consecutive hours on the shoreline or lake bed of Mayo Lake is prohibited. These hearings were technically legal, as a notice was placed in the North Carolina Register in Raleigh, but they certainly didn't meet the spirit of the law, as no one affected here on Mayo Lake in Person County was notified or knew of them. In short, these were a well-planned, well-executed ambush coordinated by Duke Energy and Wildlife to achieve a goal without our input or objection. Duke's got our addresses. They send us a letter every year for the last number of years. Wildlife has our addresses, and that's going to be proof in April when they send us a letter telling us to pull our docks out. But no one received any notice, and none of us read the North Carolina Register daily. And the change in these rules is significant for two reasons. First, enforcement's moved from the power company, who's done it for years, CP&L Progress Energy Duke, to Wildlife. That means tickets, fines, court dates. Second, and more troubling, is the wording. In their hearings, every hearing was, this is a screenshot, it was prohibit private construction of piers, docks, moorings. The second one, prohibit private construction. The third one, prohibit private construction. Then what went into law is placement of docks, piers, and personal property for more than 24 consecutive hours on the shoreline is prohibited. The whole thing was the wording of construct to placement. And as added insult, the 24-hour rule, which no one can really explain. So this came to light. A lot of people got upset. And the question was, why now? What happened? Why is this happening in Person County, where we've had such a great relationship as businesses and individuals and government with Duke Energy? Why was this done in dark? And then what's going to be the impact on us? Well, they proposed during their rationale that there would be no local impact. But they also admit in their findings that the Wildlife Resource Commission admits they don't have the mechanism to quantify impact. Well, here's going to be some of the impact. There's going to be a decrease in value of lake properties because of the lack of docks, and that could be 20 to 30% of a property. That could amount in this county to a $25 million decrease in valuation. So in about 2 years, you guys aren't going to have about $250,000 in tax revenues to spend because of this action that occurred without anybody's input. There's going to be a decrease in tourism. People come and do Airbnbs. They want to park their watercraft along a floating dock or floating platform. Guess what? They can't do it anymore. So the restaurants, food line, all of them are going to lose that business. There's going to be a decrease in home construction. Somewhere in the crowd tonight is Calvin Clayton from CHI. He's building a house now. He put on hold a second house he had scheduled. We heard there's a third house that's going under. So there's a couple $1 million in building that's not going to occur. That's going to affect the suppliers and the subs. What's going to happen with the boat business? It'll go down as well. So interestingly, in all this, your park's exempt. People can come in from out of state, out of county, put their boats in the park, do their thing, and they can do whatever they want. But we paying citizens, paying the taxes, can't. It's not fair. We have formed a consortium, and we intend to retain counsel to challenge this. It's going to be costly, and we know that. But you as county leaders should be upset. There were false assertions in getting this run through, and it was run through in the dark. It's going to cost this county tax revenue. It's going to affect our neighbors. It's not going to affect anybody in Raleigh. Sadly, this all could have been prevented. Early in February, Dr. Larrick, who's here with me tonight, Dr. Thoman, who's not here, and myself met with Representative Jeffers, and we talked about this situation. He had heard this was going on in Raleigh, and he heard it was coming, and he told us that he had reported to then Chairman Powell that this was happening, and it was going to be a problem. It was going to be a big outrage in the county, and it is. But why, if that's the case, wasn't it brought to the attention of somebody? Somewhere in this building, a person or persons knew that this was happening. And it all could have been stopped by reasonable people sitting down in a forum like this and saying, what's the problem? How can we fix it? What's the impact? But it wasn't done that way. So here we are. There may be some legal peril here. You know, I don't doubt that for years we have all been operating on what CP&L told us in writing we could do and so forth. And people have built homes, they've bought homes, they've made plans, and now how would you feel if you were a nice mid-40s couple kids, and you spent $600,000 or $800,000 on a house last year? You're going to bring your boat and park it in the water, and now all of a sudden you can't do that. Your value's down about 20%, and it was known by some that this was going on. I think there's some peril, and that's why we've got to work together to stop this train right now. We've got to stop it. We've got to sit down and figure out a solution. I'll tell you, we the people are upset. We are mad. There's a group of us meeting with Duke officials on Friday. We're hoping to reach a compromise. Much of the same information to them. We don't want a Hyco Lake. We don't want boathouses. We don't want permanent structures. We understand what Mayo's all about. That's why we live there. But why would you live at a lake if you can't walk down and get on your boat and go for a ride and come back? How am I going to pull a pontoon boat out every 24 hours and take it around to the dock where now it's going to be crowded, get it in and out? It just can't happen. So we hope this board will support us in our attempt to reverse this action. So we want a resolution to Duke Energy simply asking them to hold the enforcement. It's their land. They can tell wildlife, hands off while we work this out. And at least let us get a satisfactory agreement reversing this flawed law. In summary, this process was flawed, it was deceitful, the assumptions of impact presented were incorrect, and the rule wasn't thought out. And I told you I'd be right on time.
The next speaker we have is Matt and Marnie Schwartz.
I just did want to share with the board, at last count, there were 73 people downstairs who are here in support of the comments being made tonight about Mayo Lake.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We wanted to address the topic of the increasing amount of trash that's compiling in our community along the roadsides. It looks like a lot of beer cans, a lot of trash bags. Those items have a very negative impact on our environmental health, including our lakes, wildlife, our well and septic. It also brings down our property value. So we wanted to find out what efforts are being taken to have more of a cleanup more frequently throughout the year, aside from the once a year spring cleanup that's scheduled in April. And I think my husband has some items to discuss.
Good evening. Is it okay if I pass out some pictures?
Can you hand
Sure.
it to the clerk, please?
Yeah, those photos are Chubb Lake Road, Country Club Road, and off McGee's Mill Road.
So, with those pictures, I'm basically taking you from in town where the city limit and the county limit starts down Chubb Lake Road. There's several pictures of trash just along like both sides of the road, all the way to the end of Chubb Lake Road, and where McGee's Mill and Community House, I believe. And at the last picture, you'll see a sign, and the sign says Community House and Chubb Lake Road, and the sign's been broken, and it goes like that. And there's a picture of it. Last year, me and my wife put a request in. I believe it's below us. They came out and fixed the sign. That was late last year, and then the same thing happened again. So that's what you see a picture of. And at the very beginning of the year, a lady put it in the system.
Mr. Chairman, can you address the speaker to speak into the mic, please?
Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you.
So, one sign was broken, it got replaced. earlier this year, the same sign broke, not in half, but it's sideways. So I came up here and talked to a lady, and she put a request in for a new sign, and that was like early January. So when you come down to Chubb Lake, you're going to see a lot of trash, and at the end of that, you're going to see a broken sign. So me and my wife's goal is just to make our area and community a little bit better for not only the people that live here, but the people that come into the lake, tourists that might be going through the back roads, going to town. And also with the trash, I'm not sure if this program is in place, but some counties, I believe, have like an inmate work program where they go out in the community and like pick up trash, you know, 1 day a week or once a month. Also, there's a adopt a highway sign really close to that street sign, and I asked the lady who is in charge of that program here, and she told me that the people that are responsible for those adopt the highway signs are supposed to clean up their fair share, which is about 2 miles, every 3 months, and those 3 months have just come and gone. So maybe we can address that or pass it along to them, whoever took responsibility, just to kind of uphold their end of the agreement. Also, I'd like to talk about a little bit of traffic, and we don't live in town, but every time we go to like towards Biscuitville, or especially in the morning or Saturday mornings, and I'm sure people in this room are familiar, Biscuitville does a really good job, except for half the customers are out on Main Street. And so if you're in the right lane going towards Food Line, you got to swerve over, or if you get your food through the drive-through and then come down, you can't look to the left because that lane's already blocked. So I don't know if it's possible to maybe reroute some traffic on the weekends, but it's kind of dangerous if you've been through there.
Several accidents have been reported in
Yes.
that area.
And also, there is a Chick-fil-A.
A Chick-fil-A coming.
Yeah, the new Chick-fil-A. And our question is, was there any traffic studies done or how it's going to impact that area? Because Chick-fil-A is going to get a lot of business, especially around here. So we just don't want to see people, you know, just accidentally get hurt or not being able to get their food and leave in a safe manner. Like that. And me and my wife were just trying to make the county a little bit cleaner and just keep it beautiful. Yeah, not for only people that live here, just people that visit. And just want to express our concern. So we appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Frank Stoltman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am not going to take the full 7 minutes, but I will say it's nice to be able to have a conversation without rebuttal. Being on the campaign trail, it's been a little interesting having conversations. I wanted to touch base really quickly on the UDO. I was a member of the UDO Review Board. There were 12 of us that sat on that board. We met multiple times a week for multiple weeks. We did our best to make recommendations to modify the UDO to make Person County a better place for its residents and for the businesses. I'm embarrassed to say that that has now been totally scrapped. All of our hard work now has been thrown in the trash can. The tens of thousands of dollars spent on a consultant has been a waste, and we have no UDO at this point. I'm concerned because I look back on the last few new businesses that have come to town, and without having a green plan, a UDO, or anything that we can point to that says to these businesses that we want to hold them to a certain standard, there's nothing there. And so I'm overly concerned when you look at the gas storage plant. If you look at the Woodsdale storage area, if you look at Microsoft, what are we as a county doing to protect the county? And so I did a little bit of homework and I found out that the EDC has a mission statement. And it clearly states, and you've adopted this, it says, the mission is to provide effective government services that enhance the quality of life for individuals and businesses in Person County by preserving local history and resources, catalyzing economic growth, supporting lifelong education. I think we do a great job supporting lifelong education with PCC, but my concern is our resources. I'm concerned about our water quality. I was one of the people that actually installed for Duke, who spent millions of dollars, all up and down Chubb Lake Road, filtration systems, additional filtration systems, when their ash pond overflowed and it got into the drinking water. My concern is private businesses coming to our county that don't have the deep pockets of Duke. And I worry that we are not putting a strong enough emphasis on the UDO. I also went through the proposed budget for next year, and I saw that we have, I believe it's 6 positions for DHS, new positions. I did not see a single position for planning and zoning. If planning and zoning cannot go out and review what people are doing and make sure that they are complying with what they agreed to do for zoning, then we have a serious problem. And I point to Woodsdale. You may have remembered with all the rain and the snow that we had recently, Woodsdale Road was overcome by mud. The mud was slicker than ice. And it's all because the developer did not do what he was supposed to do when it came to putting up silt fencing and that sort of thing. So my concern is, and I'll reinforce it one more time, I strongly recommend that you as commissioners and county managers work to get a UDO. It's not that hard. You have everything that was provided to you and you're just throwing it out. Let's put together a green plan. Let's put together what makes sense for bringing new business to Person County. But let's hold them to the standard of Person County. Let's have pride in our county. Let's have pride in the way it's presented. And that will bring more business to us. But having no rules and regulations makes it impossible to do that. So again, I would urge you to put it on your calendars to do something with the UDO. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes our informal comment period.
And members of the board, as we do not have dialogue during public comment period, I would encourage you to address any comments that you would like concerning any topic that you just heard during your county commissioner comment period. Item number 8, discussion, adjustment, and approval of the consent agenda. Members of the board, do we have any adjustment to said consent agenda? Having a hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's been approved. Item number 9A, fiscal year 27 budget preview, county manager.
Good evening. I just wanted to give the board a brief update on where we are in the process. At this point in the process, we have received requests from all county departments. We have not yet received a request from the school system. They still have a ways to go in formulating their budget, and their timeline will feed into ours, but they have a little bit longer to get that request to us. And we have a few more holes that we are filling in. We did begin budget meetings this week with county departments, so we will be meeting and going through each departmental request in great detail to determine what eventually will be recommended in the budget that will be presented to you all in May. At this point in time, the requests that have come in are about 8 to 9 cents above the current tax rate. So we have a lot on our plates at the staff level to really take a hard look at those requests to determine what will make it into the manager's recommended budget. Of course, we will not come to you with that full array of requests, and we are working through that process now. So as we go along, I encourage you all as commissioners to continue to talk about your priorities, share with me what you are looking to get out of the budget process for fiscal year 27. We have the county strategic plan in mind with the vision and mission statements that have been established, as well as the goals and objectives. And we're working with departments to clearly identify how the requests do relate to those priority areas. So we do have a lot of work in front of us. Again, we spent the morning in budget requests and or in budget meetings, and we'll have those every day, just about over the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited about the process. I enjoy having these conversations and look forward to coming back with you with that recommendation in May. But I also just wanted to give you that update tonight and see if y'all have any follow-up from the budget retreat, any other thoughts that you have come to mind that you'd like to share as it relates to moving forward with the budget process.
Thank you so much. Next item, Chairman's report. It's amazing to see how many people can show up for something that you're passionate about. I learned about this Duke issue a few weeks ago, and I've been talking with some Duke leadership behind the scenes, trying to get a gauge of it, trying to find out what happened, and I appreciate Dr. Phillips' hard work of investigating this, and to my knowledge, he's done an outstanding job in leading the charge with this issue. We've always had a good working relationship with Duke Energy as a corporate partner and in the community. And just like you, I was completely blindsided by this as well. I've lived in that area for the majority of my adult life, my childhood, and as a young man, had plenty of fun on Mayo Lake. I fully understand where you're coming from because you're concerned about your investment in your homes. You're concerned about your quality of life. I fully understand that. So what I'm going to ask is for this item to be officially put on the agenda at our next regular meeting. I would ask that an official from Duke and an official from Wildlife to be present so they can answer some questions from this board, which I understand many of these board members do have questions. I wish we could address everything tonight, but tonight was a listening session to hear you speak. So going forth, I want to see what this county can do to show that we're behind the homeowners in that area. Now, also, our regular county attorney is not here tonight, so I would like to ask our regular county attorney to look into what options this county has, whether it's a resolution of support that we do not support the actual enforcement. There's still a lot of questions we have, and we want to get down to the bottom of it, and that's why we want Duke and Wildlife to be present. Because this does have an impact. It has a development impact. It has a quality of life impact. It has an economic development impact. And we've always been supportive of Duke in the past. We attended that groundbreaking, which I had a chance to talk to some officials what was on my mind about this current situation. But I definitely think we need to do whatever we possibly can do that's at our disposal to show the support behind this community around this issue. For the second speaker, I would encourage you to be involved with we have an environmental committee. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. You are now? And I want to, and if you see the clerk to the board, she can give you the name of the contact for that, and that's what that committee is designed for.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you so much. All right, and I'd like to thank the third speaker for coming and addressing his UDO concerns. With that being said, that concludes my report. County Manager.
I have several items to report. We are offering our next session of the Civics Academy, and that did fill up, so we have a waiting list. If anybody is interested in joining the next session, which will likely take place in the fall, please let our Public Information Officer, Kim Strickland, know of your interest. We had an event last week where our emergency services staff participated in an effort that spanned many counties, trying to break the world record to teach 30,000 plus people how to do hands-only CPR. So you may have seen them throughout the county with that 12-hour push. I'm happy to report that we reached over 1,900 individuals with that training. The world record was not broken, but it was a momentous effort across, again, many counties that are participating in a pilot through Duke. So we were happy to participate, happy we reached so many people, and we have many more people out there who are armed with life-saving skills. So I applaud their efforts and everyone who participated. Tomorrow is Election Day, so if you have not voted in early voting, please report to your precinct tomorrow to cast your vote. And I would like to thank all of our election staff who've worked very hard in partnership with many others throughout the county to prepare for tomorrow's election and to conduct a successful early voting period. In follow-up to the comments about the litter pickup, we do have a spring litter sweep planned for April 18th, and that is an effort in partnership between the county and the city. And typically, and I don't have all the details in front of me, but typically a group meets by City Hall that morning and then disperses throughout the city and out in the county to do the litter pickup. So I encourage you to get some more information about that. And then this week is Severe Weather Preparedness Week, March 1st through the 7th. So we'll be pushing information out about that. There will be a statewide tornado drill on Wednesday morning at 9:30. And then on Friday at noon, we're doing a first public test for Prepare Person County, which is the RAVE emergency notification system. And so we'll have information available on the Person County website if you have not registered for that system, but you would like to get emergency notifications. Please go online and register for that system, and then we'll have that test call on Friday at noon. That concludes my report.
Thank you, County Manager. Vice Chair Wilburn.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the Democratic Party Executive Committee for putting forward a very qualified candidate for the Register of Deeds to fill that position. Lauren has been in the office. She's been doing a great job. I interact with that department a lot. And for that committee, it's an election year, it's a campaign cycle, and they could have politicized that, but they did not, so I appreciate that. The EDC met this month and discussed our action plan for the next 2 years, which will also affect the Board of Commissioners' strategic plan, and some of those initiatives are brought forward to the board. I attended the Transportation Advisory Committee, and unrelated to that group's agenda, I did have some citizens reach out to me when we had the bad weather about why our secondary roads were not in the same condition as some in Granville. And they asked me to look into that, so while I had access to those DOT folks, I did that. And it basically comes down to the fact that Granville and Warren and Vance all have interstates, so they have third-party contractors to go in and clear the main roads, and so they're locally assigned vehicles and staff can focus on more of the county, and it has to do with, because they're interstates, they get more funding than we do because, they can get federal funding as well as state funding, which, as I understand it, we don't get. So that was the main reason. They have more trucks and more people because of the resources they have related to having interstates. As it relates to the Mayo issue, I really appreciate how everybody handled that, coming and having one qualified spokesperson, got your message across, and I think very well done. For me, I still have a lot of questions. This is Duke's Reservoir, and wildlife oversees it. So if this is, as I understand it, related to their Army Corps permit requirements, you know, we had the third speaker to say we need to follow all the rules with permitting and environmental permitting. So that's a little bit of, you know, we definitely, I'm not gonna ask anybody to skirt the rules of their environmental permitting. So I need to know, you know, what is the reason they're saying this? Why is it coming up now if it's been in place since 1977? And so I agree with our chairman, we need to have representatives here from Duke and Wildlife to ask these questions. I also thought before tonight, before the presentation, that it was about floating docks more so than keeping your boat there accessible. So I'm not sure if there is an issue with that or if it's just about the boats. But I do think it, you know, it calls for more discussion and looking more into that. For the speakers about the litter, I do know it's an initiative of the sheriff to do that with the inmates, but the problem has been not having enough staffing to make sure they can secure the inmates while they're out there. So, you know, that's a matter of being able to hire qualified candidates and have enough staffing to do that. But along those lines, some of the pictures you show have signs, and I've noticed that a lot. Businesses are using intersections to say, hey, we buy mobile homes and we have internet, and that is a violation of our sign ordinance. So we can ask our planning department to enforce the sign ordinance, because I've seen those get mowed over and become litter, or blown away and you know, become litter. So that is one thing that we can do. And then again, to the third speaker, the problem with the UDO was that the steering committee did not get their input included in the UDO that was presented to us. And we are still working to get the standalone ordinances brought into one consolidated ordinance. And so we've had those presented to us one meeting at a time. So it's not, because you do have to have public hearings. So we are still working on that where it makes sense. Thank you.
Commissioner Thomas.
I would just like to echo Commissioner Pereira. You put it perfectly. You deserve answers. So I hope everyone comes back when we have Duke Energy here, because your life's affected and you deserve the answers. You're the ones that are being affected the most. So I hope you come back. We want you to get the answer that you're looking for. You deserve the answers. It just feels, I don't know, it feels dirty to me. I hate saying that word, but it's something about it just don't sit right. But just please come back when we have Duke Energy.
Commissioner Royster.
Good evening. First, I want to thank everyone for coming out as well and sharing your concerns with us. This is what we're here for, and we like to know what our constituents, if anything's going on, they have concerns. We don't know everything, so we appreciate you all showing up in the numbers that you did. And thank you for, I always say, being courageous to come to the mic and address the board. So we appreciate that. I would also like to emphasize that we pray for our armed services. I have family members who are active in the military right now, so just please remember to keep them in your prayers. Also, to congratulate our newly sworn registered Ds, Lauren, and the deputies, Carrie and Jennifer. We know you all are going to continue, and I called her Miss Tanya's legacy in that office. I attended the NACO conference, which is the National Association of County Officials legislative conference last week in Washington, D.C. And part of that conference, or that organization, I serve on 3 committees representing Person County, the Human Services and Education Committee, Healthy Counties Committee, and the Rural Action Caucus. A lot of good information was shared. It was good to know that we are not the only county that have some of the issues and concerns hearing that it's across this country when it comes to data centers. The planning director and I, we sat there for almost 2 hours listening to those presentations, and particularly the counties around our size, looking at discussing alternative sources of energy when it comes to gas, nuclear, solar, all of those types of things. I attended those. And also the biggest event, which was a standalone crowd, was property taxes. And that was an issue from California to North Carolina and everywhere in between. So it was just good to get hear that those concerns that we have here is just not here, it's nationwide, but also looking at how I could get that information back to my colleagues and the county manager as it pertains to Person County, so that we can look after ourselves. And lastly, March is Social Work Month, and everybody knows I'm a social worker at heart. But over the weekend, I learned about the passing of Judy Akers. She devoted over 30 years to Person County DSS. I will say that she was part of hiring me back in 2005 when I was new to the social work world. And I will admit we didn't see eye to eye all the time. But she was integral into making me where I am today. She gave me leadership responsibilities as a worker, and I never understood why she put me in those roles, not knowing that eventually I'll be working for a division that she had me accompanying her to meetings with. So I want to thank, even though she has passed on, but I had told her time and time again, I thank her for the challenges and everything. So I couldn't let tonight pass without openly mentioning that as we begin National Social Work Month this month. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Long.
Yes, sir. I'd like to start off by congratulating Lauren as our new Register of Deeds. I've had the opportunity to have known her since she was a small child, and she's grown up to be a very responsible young woman. I worked with both of her parents, so I'm very proud of her. Also, on the Mayo issue, Dr. Phillips and I spoke several weeks ago, and I contacted Chairman Puryear, and we tried to get some dialogue going, so I really appreciate everybody coming out. And I want you to know we've been working trying to get a resolution to this, so you are supported. On the UDO, like Commissioner Wilburn said, the UDO, we did pay a lot, the county paid a lot of money to have that consultant come in, but it was the planning board that scrapped the UDO. They were very frustrated, that committee that worked that Frank was talking about, they were very frustrated that what they asked to be taken out and asked to be included in it was not. And so actually the chairman of the planning board was the one that seconded the motion that they throw out that UDO and go back with the original planning documents they had and started updating them. And that's where we are now. We are continuing to update those. They just aren't laying out there and nobody's doing anything. They're very methodically working to improve those. CPR, I participated in the CPR. I was a paramedic over in Durham with Durham County EMS way back, and I happened to go in Golden Corral, and there they were doing it, so it didn't take long for them to teach me how to do it, so I jumped in. I was able to contribute. I'm frustrated that we didn't reach our goal, but we had a valiant effort, so I really appreciate what they did. And I also like to, again, remind everybody, too, that tomorrow's election day. So I'd like everybody to please go out and participate. And I'd like to remind the county manager that I still want a rate reduction on our taxes. And my two priorities are EMS paramedic pay to get their rates up, and we've talked about this several times, and also finding funding for an industrial park. And I'd also like to ask everybody to pray for all of our military people and what's going on in Iran and support our president. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I forgot one point I wanted to address for the second couple. Development in the city limits is approved by the city planning and is overseen by the city council.
Yes.
So your concern about Biscuitville and Chick-fil-A, I would encourage you to go and take your comments to a future city council meeting as well.
Thank you. So our next scheduled meeting is for March 16th at 9 o'clock in the morning. We will be in the auditorium on that one. So, but again, appreciate everyone coming out. We're having no further business.
So currently, the meeting is scheduled to be held here. We'll have to, in this room, we'll have to verify the availability of the auditorium. So if the board would like to move the meeting to the auditorium and tell me if this would not be the appropriate approach. I mean, you could, I think the easiest path would be to go ahead and make a motion to amend the meeting schedule to change the location to the auditorium. Don't know of anything that would,
If I
we
may,
couldn't bump.
in your consent agenda is a amended schedule to move your April 6th meeting to the auditorium. That resolution could be amended if you go back and change to add that additional change.
And we'll do everything we can to make that work. And if we cannot get the meeting in the auditorium, then we will seek another alternative location and notice that as a special meeting. But you could go ahead and amend, that's in the consent, amend that ordinance or
Mr. Chairman?
resolution.
Wait.
I was just gonna say, the consent's already been approved, so it might be easier just to address the upcoming meeting with the change of location if you want, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I will make a motion myself to amend the resolution for our next meeting to be in the auditorium. With that being said, this is the most important board in this county. I realize there may be something may have been scheduled, but there's nothing more important than this board making,
Agreed.
having a room space for people that want to come in for that meeting.
Yes, sir, and I do want to clarify, and just for the public's knowledge as well, the Board of Commissioners does have priority for the auditorium here in this building. However, with the elections, there was no way we could get around that for tonight.
Yes, I think everyone understands about the elections issues, something that we could not avoid. All right. With that being said, any further business to discuss
Are you
tonight?
vote- You need to take the vote on that, sir.
You
Oh.
can take a vote.
I stand corrected. Motion to approve my own motion. All right. All in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's been approved. Having no further business, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
All in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The meeting's been adjourned.